In the last tutorial, we created the main arm for our lamp project. In this tutorial, we're going to create the two small sub-arm pieces that are attached to the main arm and the cross-halving joint. Now there are a number of different ways that we could do this. You could actually draw the pieces straight on here or sketch the pieces straight on here, but we're going to continue with our existing workflow by sketching from the origin, turning it into its third dimension, converting it from a body into a component, and then assembling it. So we'll create sketch, and we're going to go off the front plane. Now you'll get this warning here, and that's because we've moved things from their original location, particularly in the animation process. It's going to be a little bit easier if we just say capture the position. Okay, so we need a rectangle, left click from the origin, and then we're going up 28, tab, and it's going to be 100 millimeters long. We can finish that sketch. Now we want to give it its third dimension, and it's going to be 9 millimeters. Now the reason why it's 9 millimeters, and you might be saying, well, hang on, why isn't it 8? Because you want it to fit flush here. And that's really just a practical consideration. When you're in the workshop preparing materials, you want to minimize how many different sort of dimensions you need to be pre-preparing for students. And the reality is, by the time the students have probably finished sanding it, it's getting pretty close to 8 millimeters anyway. Okay, so that's created that as a body. We just need to make sure we turn that into a component. And we're going to rename it, and we're just going to call it sub-arm 1. There we go. Now we want to assemble it, so we want to join it. Now because the last thing that we used was a slider joint, you just need to go in here and make sure that the motion is not set on slider and it's set on rigid. I've already fixed this up, but I had the same issue. And again, sometimes you need to be smart about what sort of part of each component you choose to join to each other. It can just make things a little bit easier or harder depending on what you select. In this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this corner. I'll come in really close so you can see it. I'm going to select this corner here and just make sure that blue line is going up. So left click, then I'm going to move back out, and I'm going to come in really close to the end here. And again, I want that, and I want the blue line, make sure that it's parallel with this line here. So left click again, and there we go. That looks quite good to me. Okay, so that's one done. I'm just going to type F6 so everything's on the screen. We're going to basically repeat that process. So we're going to go new sketch, front plane. We need a rectangle, 28, tab 100, finish the sketch, give it its third dimension, and again we'll go 9 millimeters. We need to remember to turn it into a component. We'll rename that sub-arm 2. There we go. And again, we're going to assemble it. So now we can check, we won't have motion now, we'll have rigid, and same as before, we just need to make sure that we're smart on how we select. So I'm going to come into this corner here, select that, go back out, come back in over here, and I want this far corner there. There we go. That looks good to me. Okay. So now what we need to do is we're going to create the cross-halving joint, and we're going to do it on this face here. So new sketch, but in this case our sketch plane is going to be this surface, so we select that. We need a line, so L for line. Now a line is going to go all the way across here, and it is going to be 25 millimeters from the end here. So we just come down. We make sure, I just want to make sure that I've got that little perpendicular or 90 degrees symbol there. Dimension, D for dimension is my shortcut, and I just want to click on those two and just make sure that I'm 25. There we go. All right. So then now what we've got to do is we've got to have our other line down here, and it's going to be 28 millimeters from this line here. So again, we just line tool, come down, make sure, we're not going at an angle. So yeah, we want to be able to see 65 degrees, but we also want to see this little right angles sign there, or perpendicular sign. Okay, D for dimension. There we go. Now we just want to give that its, we want to finish that sketch, and then we want to go halfway through this with our cross halving joint. So extrude on this surface here, and we're going to go in, oh, that didn't go so well. I've just got to make sure that I'll just undo. There we go. Let's try again. So that's the surface, and we want to go in halfway. Now, because they're 999, that's 27. So instead of going 12 and a half, we're going to go 13 and a half. So we'll call that minus 13.5. There we go. So we've gone halfway through. And you can see this is why it was important to not link these pieces here, because obviously what we do to this would have happened to this one as well. So that's that now complete. So let's just go back F6 so we can just see everything there. And so we're really getting close to the end of this project.